Welcome back to the diDNA Dialogue, everybody. My name's Josh, and today we have the CEO of Hindsight Technologies, Hersh Patel. He's also a recent recipient of the Forbes 30 Under 30 in Media. Hersh, to kick us off, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Josh, for having me on this episode. It's been great working with you and the diDNA team for the past almost 2 years now. It's kind of crazy, and we've come a long way, and I'm excited to kind of share some of my story with you and your audience. And so, just to give you a little bit about my background, I'm actually not from the media world. Like, I actually graduated in finance and economics and spent the first, let's call it 5-6 years of my career in finance and investing. And so it's a lot of investment roles in investing in middle market, later stage growth companies. And so that role and that experience was great because it was industry agnostic. It allowed me to learn a lot about management teams, operational models, and just gave me a pretty great range on how successful businesses and successful companies work, right?
Yeah.
At a young age, it's a really strong foundation to build on. But that being said, I found this opportunity in the news, in the media space, completely ignorant, completely amateur to how everything actually works. It was just an idea that I came across in 2017 on driving better context in the news in a more automated way. And I kind of launched with that idea in early 2017. Before I started Hindsight, though, I did learn how to code a little bit, went to Flatiron School, which is a 3-4 month immersive boot camp. It's a great program for people who are not technical, not in the software that don't come from a software development education and want to, gain that skill set. So did that for 3 to 4 months, learned how to code, and then started the business of Hindsight September of 17. It honestly feels like 10 years ago. But, beyond that, with Hindsight, we pivoted a few times. I don't even know if you know what our original product was because it's completely irrelevant at this point. But, the great thing that remained the same across every single pivot is that our core tech stack has always been around understanding content and understanding, the main entities, the main topics, the semantics of a body of text and building an experience around that understanding. And so, that whole core tech stack has remained the same. Obviously, we've updated it and tweaked it for the different use cases that we've launched, but that's always been our core DNA. And so it's been now 3 years building this platform. And, we're obviously in a much different place than we were when we first started, have a really strong team, great partners like yourself, and looking forward to seeing what happens next in the 3 years.
Well, so with this last couple of years, especially around the third-party cookie, I think there's been a lot of focus on that. I would love to hear a little more about what Hindsight offers. I know, but everybody watching doesn't. So what does Hindsight offer now at this point?
Yeah. So generally, we're a cookieless monetization and engagement platform. But that's definitely a very broad definition of what we do and a very high level definition. What we're actually, more granularly, we're trying to push in the marketplace this notion of an adaptive ad and adaptive engagement experience, right? And so what we're trying to drive is the concept of creating an experience or creating an ad based off of the content that's being placed against. So we don't care about the user. And so, with the third-party cookie going away, that obviously is a tailwind for us. It works in our favor. Although, it definitely is going to be disruptive with 99% of advertising right now is leverages user data, right? So there's a lot that's going to happen on that angle. But, what we're trying to push into the marketplace is, an ad on X article versus an ad on Y article should not look the same, even though it's coming from the same brand, right? Articles are about different topics. And so those experiences and those ads that are placed around those articles should be about different topics as well. And so, we're working with brands and publishers alike to be able to push this adaptive creative technology as part of their, design DNA, and launch this across the publishers we work with to be able to drive higher performing and higher effective campaigns and experiences.
Right. And you said in the very beginning, Hindsight was a completely different product. And so at this point, I don't know what the original product was, but since you stumbled into it, you had a brilliant idea, you started growing Hindsight. Did you feel or see this coming? Because the cookieless environment has been going on, the conversation for a very long time. It's just now we're finally coming to that point. Did that kind of guide you in terms of where the business was going to go?
I mean, I'll be honest, man. Like when I started Hindsight, I had no idea what a cookie was. It's like I generally knew what it was, but I had no idea how it actually worked, right? And so, I honestly would say that we stumbled across, the need for a cookieless solution, right? And honestly, luck plays a big part in a lot of new businesses, and I'm not going to downplay the fact that we were lucky in the sense that our initial product that we created was always cookieless, even though I didn't understand the value of it being cookieless, right? It just the nature of what we're trying to build was cookieless and completely content driven. And so by, being in the industry more, fully immersing myself, talking with, publishers, talking with brands, talking with, industry experts like yourself, like I was able to get a better understanding of, where the industry is heading, what are the key pain points of publishers and brands, and was able to pivot around that, right? And able to adapt what we were doing to get that product market fit, which, knock on wood, we think we've achieved today. And so, yeah, man, like I wouldn't say it was premeditated by any means, right? It definitely was more flux than that. And it's something that, came naturally as I was able to understand this industry in a more in-depth way.
Right. And I feel this need that you've obviously identified is really important for publishers out there, because there needs to be some kind of way to have those adaptive ads that you're talking about. But it also seems to be a pretty big issue for, let's say, larger partners. So question to you on this is, in terms of you going to 2021, is your strategy kind of expanding to include Hindsight on different types of partners, or is it looking just for publishers? Where do you think 2021 is going to take?
It's the latter. It's the latter for sure. We definitely want to move Hindsight from a publisher first product to more of a technology play, right? We want to position ourselves as a tech platform that can power these adaptive experiences that brands can benefit from, that publishers can benefit from, that performance marketers can benefit from. So, it definitely is the latter, where we definitely want to be integrated with partners like diDNA, right? Where it's a technology play, and it's a software play, to drive this new methodology within, the creation of ads, and how ad design and ad copy is really thought of, from an end-to-end value chain perspective.
Yeah. And what sparked that? Because again, your core business has been essentially the beautiful products you guys offer for publishers. But what sparked the roundtable discussion at Hindsight and said, we actually have to target this. We have the tech for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very organic. Like it's just been through learnings that we've realized by working with partners and working with other stakeholders. Like, this whole adaptive nature came from what we were doing with music streaming, with Bands in Town and Amazon and Apple. And so, we kind of provide our technology for that use case originally, and it kind of struck a chord where, this works really well for music. Is there other verticals where this can work well too? And, organically I had an individual reach out to me saying, hey, can we do what you're doing for music for FanDuel, for sports betting? And I was like, oh, wait, there's actually an opportunity here to be able to expand this across, other performance marketing verticals. And then I took a step back and I kind of looked at affiliate marketing as an industry, and I saw that, that whole industry has been super historic in the way the implementation of it works, in the sense that it's very manual, it's very editorially driven, and it only works on like maybe 1% or 2% of content that's really created for these affiliate links. And so, I was like, hey, can we leverage technology to basically leverage this adaptive, format to automate the placement, the creation of affiliate programs, and make it more display versus text link, and, drive some innovation in that industry that's been static for such a long time. And so, it's been organic through partnerships, ideas that, have come across through discussions, and like I mentioned before, like the better I understand and the Hindsight team understands the industry, the better we can assess, where is the real need for technology like this. And so I think something that's been in our DNA, and the reason why we were able to make it to where we are today, is staying on our toes, being completely flexible, and not being, emotional or attached to the products that we've built before, right? And understanding that there's always a better way to do something, and you need to iterate to be able to find that product market fit.
Right. And that's a great segue into the normal question I would ask is around any kind of advice for publishers. But I'm going to throw a curveball at you, because you.
All right, that's good.
Core business is normally publishers, right? But you're talking about the technology play that you mentioned, and what we've created together, and then the ones you're continuing to create. I would love to hear a piece of advice for, I think, the publisher piece, people navigating the ad industry. But I think what would be really cool would be, as a CEO and a founder, what would you share for some of the tech partners too? So I think two pieces of advice, two different verticals. Start with whatever one you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, for new founders, I think that the best piece of advice is really to, I mean, it's one that's said over and over again, but it couldn't be more true, in the sense that you really cannot use assumptions to build a product, right? Like, you need to use data, and you need to use, real information, because most of the time what you assume is going to work doesn't work. And the biggest thing that I can say for, new founders, like, or a new tech company, is that you might have this really, really great idea. The best thing you can do for you and the company and your investors is figure out the easiest way to implement it and test it and challenge it, versus spending 2 years to build this perfect product and then launching it with all of these assumptions that you've built the product on, and it not working out, right? So I'd rather, an individual or a new founder come up with a mediocre product to get data to be able to drive what that final product should look like. And so that would be my advice for tech companies and startups. For publishers, I think that one thing that's really important is not to be short-sighted, right? In the sense that the publishing industry, let's be honest, it is challenged, right? There's a lot of things that are changing. There's a lot of pressure that's coming on in terms of ad spend and monetization and revenue, and social media, Google, Facebook. It's diluted the ability for readers to be able to drive brand value, right? And I would say, I think a big thing is, you need to plan for the next 2 to 3 months, but you need to plan for the next year or two as well, right? Because if you don't plan for the next year or two, then something like the cookieless world, right, is going to sneak up on you, and you're not going to have enough time to catch up. So, I think that, publishers definitely need to, start thinking about what they're going to do, and not just big publishers, like, because the tier 1 publishers they have this in place because they have the luxury to do so. But even the tier 2s and tier 3s, right, they need to start partnering with individuals, partnering with people who are experts at this, and start thinking about that, 2-year, 3-year strategy, because you need to be future-proof for you to have a long-standing business in this industry, and that involves testing a lot of different things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. I think that technology startup mindset should be transferred more to publishers as well. Don't be afraid to change up the UI UX of your site. Don't be afraid to do something you haven't done before. Just do it in a way where you can actually test it, and do it in a way where your readers are transparent about what you're doing, so they're not bothered by it, right? Because at the end of the day, if a reader cares about your publication, they want to make sure that the publisher is doing is doing what they need to continue to generate more revenue, and they're going to be okay with that. So
Right.
that type of experimental mindset, which I think is lacking in the publishing industry, especially, downstream, is something that is important. And you marry that with, having a more long-term strategy plan, and that can be a winning combo, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I love that. So how do you future proof, right? The industry adapts and changes so quickly.
Yeah.
We've already seen that
Yeah.
being in the industry. How do you future proof, let's say on the publisher side, your site? Is it just like you said, experimenting? Is
Yeah.
your focus just to mitigate risk as a whole, like make sure that your ad revenue is stable in one section? What do you think? What's the easiest way to, I guess, future proof?
I think you said it yourself. This industry changes so quickly. And so you need to have that mindset and infrastructure to be able to test things really, really quickly. Right. And so, there's a trend that we know that's happening in 2022, which is cookieless, but that's a rarity for an industry to have a 2-year heads up, right, on what's going to happen, right? Like
Right.
usually changes and innovation happens in a snap of a finger, where someone comes up with a better way to do something, and it's like, holy shit, now we need to adapt to this, right?
Right.
And so that experimentation mindset, the ability to quickly A/B test different things, I think that's the best way to future proof, because no one can predict the future. The best thing you can do is react to it as quickly as possible. Right. And so, yeah, I think the experimentation of it is, try to adapt to what it's coming, and try to be as nimble and flexible as possible to be able to react to what you don't know is coming. That's probably the best way to put it.
Got it. Okay. So really what it comes down to, essentially at a high level too, is the infrastructure that you put in place as a founder,
Yeah.
as a publisher owner. No matter how big you are, the more agile you can remain,
Exactly. Yep.
the more you're capable of staying future proof, right?
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Hersh, for everybody watching today, would you mind sharing what the easiest way to get in contact with you, and then of course Hindsight is?
For sure. So our site is hindsightsolutions.net. And so you can, obviously drop us a note there, or you can drop a note personally to me at hpatel@hindsightsolutions.net as well. And, I'd love to get in contact, love to just talk anything about media, advertising, marketing. And I love having these types of conversations, right? I feel like the more conversations, you have like these, it's only positive. It only makes you a smarter individual, a more informed individual. And, thank you for setting this up. Thank you for having me on your platform. And, really am super supportive and amazed by, what you've kind of put together with this series.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, Hersh. Thanks for jumping on. Everybody, thanks for watching the Dialogue today. If you have any questions or comments, founders or publishers, go ahead and leave a comment below and let us know what you'd like to see on the next couple ones coming up. Again, Hersh, thanks for jumping on, and congrats again on the Forbes 30 under 30.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
See ya.